Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and fractional executives to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of accountability, challenge, and support. To learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. Super excited about our show today. I get to hang out with Dr. Leah Howell, Learning and Leadership Strategist for LP Out Loud in Chicago, Illinois. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. Good morning. It's nice to be here.
I'm pumped. We had a great conversation ahead of this, and looking forward for your insight. So I'm just going to jump right in.
Awesome.
When you look out at your work and your career, you've had exposure to a bunch of different leaders, and some really, really good ones, and some maybe not so great. If you started to boil it down to one or two traits that separates a great leader from an average or a below average leader, what would that be?
It's such a powerful question. I think the first thing that is most important in leadership is having a high level of emotional intelligence. You need to be aware of your own emotions. You need to be aware of the emotions of those around you. And you need to be able to, as I say, sort of read the room and read the space and be agile to adapt to that space. So, emotional intelligence is key. And then I would say behind that is authenticity and humility. We are all human. We are all bringing so much to the table every single day. Show up as you are, whatever that looks like, because your people are showing up, giving you the best they can, and meet them where they are. I think those are key components and traits of really, really powerful leaders.
You and I are going to get along really, really good. A huge believer in emotional intelligence, and then my favorite phrase is to be unapologetically authentic.
I love
Right.
that. Yes.
So again, you and I are right there. So I want to keep going on the emotional intelligence piece,
Yeah.
and I debate with myself often about how are you born with emotional intelligence? Can you develop it? Can you strengthen it? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I'm gonna hit the theoretical side of the house, which would tell you you have an IQ and you have an EQ. And your IQ in theory is static, right? It's this sort of potential for learning when you're born. Your EQ, or your emotional intelligence, is not static. It actually can be developed. And in fact, it must be developed in order to become effective. Being highly emotionally intelligent means being willing to be reflective about how you are showing up in a space. And if you're not sort of actively thinking about that, think about it like your tricep. If I'm not actively doing those overhead tricep exercises, I'm not going to be able to work it. Emotional intelligence is the same. It absolutely can be grown. It absolutely can be cultivated if people are willing to lean in and do that.
What's the best way to do that?
Yeah. Well, I
I
don't know
mean,
if there's a best.
what are the exercises to grow emotional intelligence?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, candidly, is getting an understanding of what emotional intelligence is. When we say emotional intelligence, I think a lot of people feel like they just know automatically what that means. Just like if I say your identity. But in reality, there are a lot of layers in what emotional intelligence is, right? It's being able to identify emotions in others. It's being able to identify it in yourself. It's being able to adapt around that. But if I don't have a fundamental understanding of what it is to start, I can't mix it up, right? Like I can't make chocolate chip cookies if I don't know all the items in the recipe. Emotional intelligence is the same thing. So starting with very simple things like reading about what is emotional intelligence, what are the areas, can be the entryway in for people.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think to me, a lot of it revolves around your own experiences and what
Yeah.
you're willing to experience, right?
Yes.
If you stay in your own small town forever, that's what you're going to be exposed to, and you're going to understand how to relate to the people in that small town. But if you open yourself up to travel and putting yourself in other countries and learning and going in with an open mind and understanding who they are and how they operate and why they make decisions that are different than you, and have that openness to understand that, that helps to build that
Yeah.
emotional intelligence as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That exposure, and you shared a key sort of phrase that you think about. The key phrase for me when you're thinking about being emotionally intelligent is assume good intent. We know that, everybody, again, everybody around us is coming to this space with whatever has happened to them. To your point, if I have never, been exposed to something, and I make a misstep, I'm not intentionally making a misstep. Maybe I just didn't know any better.
Hmm.
I know that there's a difference between intent and impact. And just because we didn't intend something doesn't mean that it didn't impact somebody negatively. So part of being emotionally intelligent is also being aware of that impact. But to your point, yeah, you have to be willing to and to be exposed to things that are different, to be able to understand a little bit more about the diversity of experience and how emotions may play out.
Yeah, really good. Would you start to now tie in that authenticity piece and how important that is in the leadership journey? So
Yeah,
we are emotionally intelligent. We have nailed it. But
yeah.
but now let's bring in the authenticity piece.
Yeah, and I'm actually open that with an example from my own life. I am a two-time kidney transplant recipient. That is a big part of who I am. And I think it's a big part of how I am able to show up each day. Some days are harder than others. 20 years ago when you came into the workplace, the expectation was you left that at the door. Right. You didn't bring that to the meeting or to the this. Being authentic is being honest about what you are bringing in a day. I have walked in and I have an incredible team that I work with, and I've walked in and looked at my current manager and said, "I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not feeling really well today. I
Hmm.
have some things we need to talk about that may feel emotionally charged, and I want you to know that they may sound more emotionally charged because I'm not feeling well." So it's just sort of letting folks know, but if I hadn't done that and I'd showed up in that meeting and sort of been what may be perceived as being unkind or kind of a jerk, frankly,
Yeah.
and nobody has that understanding, they're going to assume something different, right? So being authentic means that we are who we are at any given time. Doesn't mean you have to shirk or can shirk the responsibilities. I also don't believe, honestly, in what people call work life balance. I think there's harmony in your life.
Hmm.
Again, because some days are better than others, and we all have that as we're approaching the world.
Yeah, I like that. I started using work life integration, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
it's the same thing, right?
Mhm.
We're all right there. I really like that, having the ability first. So you have to have confidence enough in yourself that you're going to be able to say, "Hey, look, here's what I'm going through today. Be
Mhm.
aware." That also is a reflection on your leader too, to be able to accept that, which is really cool.
Yes. Yes, and I appreciate you saying that. I think that's really important. A good leader is going to create a psychologically safe space that allows that. I have had leaders in the past. There are two scenarios, two very specific leaders that I think about all the time. One who said to me, "You act like a Ferrari with a flat tire." And I said, "I don't even know what that means
Uh-huh.
in terms of," but I never felt like I could ever say anything around her again. Another leader who said, "Well, you're always trying to outshine me." Again, those responses from leaders were about them versus the
Oof.
leader that I get to work with now, who was like, "Okay, thank you for sharing, and how can I help you?" They've created a very different space, and so a good leader is that's part of being emotionally intelligent is
Yeah.
being able to create that psychological safety for those around you as well.
It's so important. As a matter of fact, in our Quaid circles, we open up every meeting and we ask everybody participating to share three words: one
Mhm.
representing mind, one representing body, and one representing soul. So where are you
Yes.
mentally, physically, and spiritually right now?
Yep.
And it does a variety of things. First and foremost, it helps people become centered and present in what they're going to be involved. But the other thing it does is for the circle director to understand where everybody's coming in today, right? So,
Yeah.
if Leah is saying, my mind is stressed out, my body is exhausted, and my soul is searching, and I rate myself at 40%. Well, wow, we better pay attention to Leah today, and
Yeah.
really, help her up, or dig deeper into what's going on. So that really sets the tone for us, and puts everybody on that same page so they're aware.
Yeah, I love that. I love that that's the opening. I use a question with my team often. I say, "What's been better lately because of you?" Because it forces them to
Oh,
sort of
wow.
think about and reflect on what they have brought. It can be very easy to get feedback about all the things I've done wrong. But similarly, having some of those grounding questions, like knowing where people are as humans, gosh, that just makes things so much more effective and efficient ultimately at the end of the day.
It's big. By the way, I'm going to steal that. That's
You
that
are
that's
welcome.
because you're right. People don't think about that, right?
No.
And especially in the CEO seat, especially in the business owner seat, that it's about, like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I did that, but what's next, right? And
Right. Right.
and how do you get how do you get people to slow down and appreciate that more?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think, for me, it was just a little bit sort of forcing the issue. I decided that I was going to use a particular team meeting on a regular basis. It's also being comfortable with silence. If I pose the question, what is better because of you? I want to wait and I want to hear from everybody. And if it takes somebody the whole meeting to get there, what is better, that's okay.
Hmm.
Because it's creating that space. It's also modeling it, right? So, like I shared earlier, letting people know as a leader how I am showing up. When I ask the question of my team, what's better because of you? I also say, this is better because of me. And not because we're trying to, say, for gold stars or
Right, right,
anything,
right.
but it's that recognition because when you talk about what is better because of you, literally your body and your mind feel different because you've shifted the perspective. So it can be tough to do.
Hmm.
I think leaders will sometimes start to try it and then they'll feel like it's not catching on.
Hmm.
If they feel like it's not catching on, they need to wait like 200% longer because it
Yeah,
takes time for people to get there, right?
yeah.
It doesn't just happen automatically. I go back to that psychological safety. You have to create the space.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's not comfortable. It's not something that's
Yeah,
typically done, right? And
exactly.
so, then you start getting into personality types, and how people think about things, and you've
Mhm.
got some people that need to process this for 3 minutes, and you've got others like, I've got a list. Hang on, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that's a really cool deal. I like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad you please take it and use it. I think the more we talk about positive, and how we're showing up in a good way in life, the better humans can be.
Yeah, no question, no question. All right, we're going to start to wrap this up. So
Of
I I,
course.
I want to end with a question, so I'm going to make you reflect back. I ought to
Mm.
just say what's been better because of you, but I'm not going to do that right now. If you think back to 21-year-old Leah, what is one thing that you wish she knew that you've learned over the years?
Wow, that is such a powerful question. I wish she knew that it was okay to rest.
Mm.
And it was okay to rest and to give herself grace. I think I, came up and through and again, as I shared as a transplant recipient, there's a lot of things I've navigated in my life. Um, but permission to rest is something that we don't do for ourselves. But if you think about, again, I liken it to physical activity. I can't work my quads every single day and expect there to be development.
Mhm.
Your body and your brain are exactly the same. I can't work my emotions every single day and expect there to be development. I need rest. And so I wish that I'd given myself permission for that a little bit sooner. I do it now without question and unapologetically. When I am off, I am off. And it is nice to be in a world where that is starting to be accepted more. I hold a firm line though. Sometimes firmer than people like.
Yeah,
But it's important. Nobody's going to set boundaries for you. Nobody's going to tell you to rest. You have to do it for yourself.
that's amazing. Great. Thank you. That's
Of
really cool.
course.
Thanks for sharing that. Do me one last favor. Would you
Mhm.
share with our audience what a typical engagement with you looks like and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I love about the work I do is it's uniquely curated. So, every engagement looks like it needs to look for the people I'm engaging with. I do one on one coaching. So, if an individual wants to work on themselves, their emotional intelligence, I do that work. Similarly, I work with organizations and groups on short or long term, particularly change management or high impact timeframes. The other thing that I have done over time that was really accessible for organizations is I lead intentional guided book discussions. So
Hmm.
it allows people space in particular topics or areas that perhaps they want to grow or the organization wants leaders to grow. So again, all of them are curated based on the organization. The best way to find me is actually on LinkedIn. Just pop my name in there. You will find me. Drop me a message. I would love to chat with people. I think it's a huge privilege to get to do the work that I do. And it actually fills my cup to be able to help others fill theirs.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been just a wonderful experience and I enjoyed the conversation a lot. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We have done it again. We have found another amazing leader to share her insights and wisdom with us as you continue on that journey to finding that CEO within you. Want to remind you that our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and fractional executives to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.